Hi, y'all. You already did the thing I was about to ask you to do. Good job clapping. First off today, I'd love to give 3 different thank yous. First thank you I'd love to give is to all of you for coming here today. We really appreciate you being here for this really special opportunity. Second thank you I want to give is to all the integrated studies teachers for letting us take some of your class time so that we can share in this magical moment. And third, of course, I would love to thank our 2 visiting guests today for taking time out of their incredibly busy days, their rehearsal schedules with shows tonight to come here to talk to us. I think that's incredibly special. Another round of applause, please. So I'd love to introduce our guests first. We have Hannah Cruz. Hannah Cruz comes to us from the Hamilton tour, of course, playing Eliza. Another notable, yes, of course. Another notable role that she's had is playing Ellen in Bullets Over Broadway on the first national tour, which is also incredibly cool. Secondly, we have Stephanie Umoh, who is visiting us as Angelica. She also was in the 2009 revival of Ragtime on Broadway as Sarah, which is impressive. So I thought a fun way, since we have, just a little bit of time to get to know each other today, that a first sort of fun / like only lightly evil thing to do would be to do word association, just so we can get to know kind of who you are quickly. I've written down a few words, and I feel like if you guys just want to be like, first word that comes to my mind, okay, so we get a sense of who you are. Okay, ready? They're not too hard, they're crazy. First word, snacks. Snacks. Snacks.
Pretzels.
Right? Yes!
Potato chips.
Right? Right. Theater.
Munch.
Patty LaPone.
Theater, Patty LaPone.
Oh gosh, I don't know. When I think of theater,
Lincoln Center. That's so bizarre. Okay.
Great. How about naps?
Don't take them.
Yeah, nah. Time?
No time.
No time for naps.
Brain is always working. I can't.
Nice. What about empowerment?
Women. Sisterhood.
Puppies.
I want one.
Cute. You actually took one that I was going to be using, but I feel like we need to say it again. Sisters.
Yes. Skylers.
I was going to say
And finally, Hamilton.
Lynn. I think of Lynn.
Rap.
Cool. So now that we have a little bit of a better sense of who you guys are, thank you for sharing kind of just a weird, bizarre thing and going with me on that. That is basically the thing that I ask all these people to do all the time. It's like, hey, do a weird thing with me now. So thanks for being part of our Ellis community in that way. I would love to know how you all sort of initially got involved in theater. What drew you to theater?
I'll go first. Yeah, so actually I'm the youngest of 3, and my older siblings were involved in high school theater, and I was in middle school. And I went to go see them in like Bye Bye Birdie, and I just was like, this is so cool. So I started doing theater in middle school, and it was more so we just got up and learned how to speak in front of each other, just getting up and reading something, which is honestly takes a lot of effort and a lot of courage. And then I started doing it in high school, and funny enough, once we got to high school, it got a little more serious. So freshman year, we had to do monologues, and also part of the assignment was to get up and sing a song, any song, something simple like Mary Had a Little Lamb or something. And that terrified me. So I put a bag over my head in order to sing in front of the class. I'm not joking. And everybody thought it was funny, and I was like, I'm actually going to do this. I'm doing this. Yeah. So I did the assignment with a bag over my head. And so I guess I realized what stage fright is. And it's a real thing. And so then anyway, the next year they were doing Little Shop of Horrors, and I love that movie, and I love that show, and it's just, I wanted to be Audrey, of course, but I was too young. I was a freshman or sophomore. And anyway, so I auditioned, which was also terrifying, and end up getting the role of the bad lady, which sings "Oh, love goes up Pacific" in the beginning of the show, if anybody knows it. Well, yeah. So first day of rehearsal, and I was like, yes, I got this part, right? First day of rehearsal, the whole cast gathers around the piano, and they say, we're going to start at the top of the show, so we're going to sing through. So Stephanie, get up and sing your solo. The first thing we have to do.
Oh my goodness.
And I refused to do it. I could not do it because I was so scared. I was sweating. There's all these seniors, and I was just like terrified. And finally, they just circled around me, and they were like, you know what? We'll turn our backs, and you sing the song if that makes you more comfortable. And I was like, I can do that. So they did it, and then as I was singing, they just slowly turned around, and just sort of, it just lifted me up, and that was the first time I came out of my shell, so to speak, and realized that, you know, there's a gift, you have a gift, and it affected them. Anyway, that was my first sort of, when I fell in love with theater, and then, you know, doing shows in high school. It's just great, I love it.
All about bags.
All about bags.
From one bag to another.
That's a beautiful story. I mean, mine's not that beautiful, but it's so beautiful. I grew up doing mostly sports. I wasn't good at any of them, but that's what I did. I was just notorious for always crying. Like, if we were losing, I would be crying. If we won, I would cry. And so at some point, my mom was like, maybe you should act. So they put me in voice lessons, and I would start auditioning for the school productions, and I would always be like the 7th bird girl in Seussical, or like the 5th Steps Sister in Into the Woods, because in high school they would add all these characters so everyone could be included. And yeah, I like worked my way up through high school, and then started getting principals, and realizing it was like the only thing I ever wanted to do. I was obsessed with it. It was all I cared about. And yeah, so that's why I still do it today, because I can't do anything else. Me either.
I agree. Well, that's sort of kind of piggybacking off of that. In your lives now, since art is a part of your life every single day, it's really integral to who you are, to what you give, to what your gift is, to what you're sharing. What does it mean to you to be able to have something of such powerful art be a part of your life every single day?
Yeah, I'm beyond grateful. I always think, because it's really hard. Doing 8 shows a week of this show is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. And there are some days where it's like, oh my God, I can't do it again. But just to think, I think of like the years that I wasn't working, because I've been working for like 8 years, but in between that, there's been so many dry spurts. And I'm always so depressed when I don't have an outlet, and I don't have like a story to tell. And so on those days where it's really hard to remember what an incredible story we get to tell every night, it puts it all in perspective.
I think, yeah, and especially a show like Hamilton, where we get to take it around the country, which I think is extremely cool, and the cities we've been visiting have historical significance to the story as well, and some of the characters. And there's always something with Hamilton, and it is so hard. It is so hard, you guys. But it's fun, and I think that the challenge is like what makes it, what keeps you on your toes. So every night there's so many lyrics. So I'm not joking, like right before I go on stage, just to, like in a particular song or scene, I have to just go over them and make sure I know them. Because along the way my brain goes, you don't know this. You don't know any of the lyrics. You've forgotten everything. So I'm like, do I know this? You know, so you're just constantly working on something in the show, which is kind of rare, I'd say. You know, usually once you've learned something and you're in a show for a long time, you just kind of do it. I don't know. And this is not one of those shows. I mean, we're constantly in rehearsal. We're going from here to rehearsal. And I don't know, I think that is extremely fulfilling, because there's always another door to unlock with these characters, and you know, we always make new discoveries. We're like, oh, that was cool, we did this thing, and like, oh, that was neat, it means this, you know. So, and that just is also a testament to great writing and great storytelling, yeah.
Absolutely. In terms of these roles that you guys are able to kind of come up with little new things every night, but also have to stick to a particular regimen of this is the show, this is how it's set, this is what the interpretation is from one production to another. I know you guys are going to be going to a pickup rehearsal right after this. What does it feel like to know that other people are playing this role and sharing this role? How is that creating community with you guys, especially being, you know, the trio that the Schuyler sisters are?
Well, we refer to the Hamilton, all of the casts as Ham Fam. So we consider ourselves one big family. And it's actually one of the first, I think, commercial theater shows that we are actually allowed to interpret the characters. How they don't really encourage us to be the same as, let's say, the original Broadway cast. I don't have to do it as Renee did it. She doesn't have to do it how Philippa did it. We are completely different, and I love that this show celebrates the differences within the actors, because a lot of times you're found you're doing productions where they want you to be how they first designed it. But that's not how the world is. That's not when we're trying to reflect the world. So that's I think really my favorite thing about it. We do have a lot of freedom. Now, as far as like the movements go,
Sure, that constantly.
we gotta stay where, you know, that's set, because they had one big vision for that. But as far as like how I think Angelica would react, how I think Angelica feels, is completely up to me, and I love that, because my Angelica is different from any other Angelica, I think, and so if I can speak for you, I think her Eliza is very different.
Yeah, I was going to say basically the same thing. But just to add on to it, I think the most compelling acting is acting done by someone who brings themselves to the role, right? Like, I don't want to just watch a carbon copy of what someone's done before. Someone's already done it. So that's a big reason of why I love doing the show, is because there is that freedom, and you can bring, an aspect of yourself to it, which makes it even more personal and makes the storytelling even more poignant.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I love being able to hear from such a professional level of theater that you actually can be yourself and bring who you are to the table. I think we all want to try to encourage that in all different aspects of our communities, but I know just being involved in our theater community, we always want our people to feel empowered to choose the types of roles they want to play in the ways that they feel like they personally connect to it. So it's nice to see that that's all over the map.
I think that can be applied to any art form, and really just anything. Yeah, you just really want to bring as much as of yourself into something, and if people don't want that, then they don't want you, and you're like, well, fine. Then I'm going to take my vision and me and what I have to offer somewhere else where I'm wanted.
Sure.
And that's okay, you know?
Yeah.
That's okay. As long as you can value yourself and know what you're worth, and, you know, and hold strong to that.
I love it. That, makes me think of, so a big mission here, a motto here at Ellis is, it's all about empowerment of yourself, empowerment of others, creating strong communities. And in terms of, well, something that we like to call it here is creating change makers in our world. And, Hamilton has changed the face of theater in a variety of ways over the last few years that it's been such a cultural phenomenon. How do you guys feel either you're creating change, or how do you see Hamilton making change, creating change in our world?
Well, I think the first way I would like to discuss is Hamilton, this story of characters that are, as we know, historical characters, really rich, powerful white men that, sort of designed our country as we know it today. Well, in our production of Hamilton, we're telling this through a rainbow of human beings. And I think in that telling, we have all sorts of shades of colors of beautiful human beings out there telling this story. And I think that in my interpretation, it means that this country, America, and the history of it belongs to all of us, not just one particular group of people. So that is so profound to me. I just, every time I think about that, I'm like, whoa! It's smart and inclusive and empowering, and also through hip hop, telling the story through hip hop. It's really interesting because we have a wide range of people, audiences who are just in love with this show. And you wouldn't think that maybe someone in their 80s from, I don't know, Cincinnati, Ohio would be listening to hip hop, but it's just so smart because it's opening their minds, because they're attracted to the story, the history of it. And the young people are attracted to the sort of the music of it. But we all have like one thing in common, which is, I think, the history, but also the tragedy and the love stories, and just these historical characters are seen as human beings. And I think, yes, the humanness of it, and that is, and no matter who's telling it, any color, anybody, whatever you identify as, it doesn't matter. This is all of our story, and I think that is just, hits me in my heart. It's so cool, you know? Totally.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that we do is the Edge-a-Hand, where we have students from like local schools come in and we do the show just for them. And it's such an interesting, it's so different from any other theater audience I've ever experienced. They're so vocal about certain parts of the show and certain things that they agree with and disagree with. They'll like tell you how they feel. And that's really interesting, but I think it's so incredible that these kids can see themselves on the stage and think like, oh, I could do that, that's possible. That could be me.
Yeah.
I think that's an incredible thing, to inspire kids. That's it, that's what it's about.
Hey, what's up? Okay, cool, we've got a little bit more time. I just could talk forever for you. One more question, and then I would love to open it up to anybody in the audience who might have questions to see. Just in sort of thinking back about your own high school, upper school experience, for you all, what would, I mean, I hate the idea of like, well, I would love to give myself the advice of this, because like, it's done, whatever, but what's something maybe you would want to know, or something that you feel like you've learned since that your younger self could have like connected to deeper?
I think I would love to tell my younger self that I am enough. I think it took a long time to even wrap my brain around that, and of course it's still a journey. It's obviously, we're human beings and feeling sufficient and feeling like you're good enough, but at that point, that little girl who is struggling with identity and all of the things, that she is enough, and that she has a lot to offer, and to just, you know, gosh, that's a deep question.
I'm sorry, yeah, I'm not saying what's your favorite food? Like,
no,
not saying
yeah.
snacks anymore is your first
To sum that up, and without this being a therapy session, yeah, exactly, I know, I'm feeling like I'm very vulnerable. Yes, that she's enough. You know, I grew up in suburbs of Dallas, Texas, and growing up as a little black girl there it had its challenges, and especially being in the arts. So yeah, that's what I would tell her.
Yeah, same vein. We're very alike. I would just say to be kinder to myself. And I still work on that every single day. It was literally my New Year's resolution. But I was real mean to myself back in high school. And also to trust my gut. I made a lot of decisions due to other people's influences, and I wish I had just listened to myself. And I don't regret anything, but I wish I had learned the lesson a little sooner.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of those seem like, no matter what lifelong journeys, being able to voice them out loud is such an empowering, positive thing to do, and also to anybody young or older, we can all keep on cruising on our journeys and trying to create stronger environments for everybody to thrive in. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's so cool. I don't know, whenever I was growing up, I love this program I love this school, I love the mission. I just think it's just profound to me, because when I was growing up, we just didn't have access to a lot of, or any programs really, specifically for young women to encourage them to be themselves and seek that and be strong in that. So it's just, I just think it's like these young girls growing up, like this is fantastic that you have this, and you know, and that we get to tell the story of these sisters who love each other and who would do anything for each other and who uplift each other, and then also the actors playing them. We do. I think that with the energy of the characters, we've embodied that in our sisterhood backstage. But what I think is what affects me is when I see young girls come to see the show and they say, "Thank you I just love the strong character. It just really inspired me." And I'm just, wow, I mean, that is the world we live in now. Back then, it just wasn't presented that way. So, yes, change. Anyway, that's it.
Great. Well, I would love to open it up, although I do, maybe to lighten the mood, just want to be like, what's the worst part of touring? What's the part you're like, well, not even the worst, which is like, oh, I hate it when my blah is blah.
Okay, this is, well, the hardest thing about touring is changing theaters all the time. Yes, that seems exciting, but each theater is like sounds. The sound is different. The actual dryness of the theater, which the air quality can affect your voice. So there's some theaters where we're like stuffy and have a lot of mucus because of how dry it is, or if it's really old and dusty, you have all these allergies. And so constantly once your body adjusts to one theater, we're picking up and we're moving to the next one, so we have to readjust. And that is exhausting. Take the Mucinex and the Claritins and all the things.
Yeah, that's it. That's her answer. That's her
Otherwise it's fun, because you get to go to these new towns and we get paid to do what we love, and we're telling this amazing story. Are you kidding me? Hamilton?
Yeah. And miss our people though. There's that.
That's true.
That's hard. Missing your significant other is difficult.
Yeah, and your friends and your home, but
yeah.
It's an adventure. To adventure.
All right, I will stop talking now for a minute.
I can talk all day.
I can't see who we are. Yes. Can you stand up and speak super loud, please?
Yeah. I just want to say first, I comment, love the production and stuff like that. My question is, what's your favorite song to sing, and what's your least favorite song to sing?
I love the opening number so much, and I think it's the strongest to me because I think it was Lynn's first song when he wrote in the show. And it is just, everybody's on stage, all of us together at one time, and we're basically introducing all of these characters and setting up the show. And it is so well crafted, and I love singing it. It's powerful. We're all in our different worlds, but also on the stage together. It's so much fun to do. It really is the perfect number to get me into doing the show, because it's just so perfectly. I think opening numbers are the most important number in a show. What's my least favorite? No one's recording this, right? Gosh, I don't know.
I do.
Okay.
It's both my favorite and my least favorite, depending on how I feel. And it's Skylar's Sisters.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is the hardest thing.
It's so hard, y'all.
That is the hard, it's so fast. Those dresses are not easy. And you're screaming.
Yeah, we're screaming.
But if you feel good, it is so fun.
Yeah, you're right. It's like both your favorite and your favorite at the same time.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. And I'll say another hard number is Quiet Uptown, because it's basically, and it is beautiful, of course. It's stunning and simple, and the simplicity of it is just, it's gorgeous. But it's really hard to watch to narrate a funeral every night, and it affects you. I mean, you can't. There's no way you can walk away from that every night and not have felt that you just attended a funeral. So it's hard, you know, on your spirits, but important too.
Oh my gosh, it's everyone. Everybody has hands. I saw out of first.
How does playing these historical characters change your outlook on how you view characters? And what have you learned?
I've actually learned a ton about Eliza, which I think is really interesting. I read a historical fiction book about her called My Dear Hamilton, and a lot of the facts in there are facts of her life. And she was an incredibly strong woman. And I don't really think about that time in history and strong women in the same context. But it's truly incredible to me how much she accomplished. She lived until she was 97 years old. That's crazy. If someone lived today till 97, I would think that was crazy. She did so much. And after being just put through the ringer emotionally by her family, and just surrounded by death, everyone she loved died around her, and she just kept going. And sometimes I think, on a 5-show weekend, if Eliza can live till 97, I can do 5 shows. But getting to play someone like that every night and learn more about the context of her life, I'm so grateful for that, because it gives me perspective and more depth.
Angelica, she's awesome. So again, like she said, in this time period, women weren't allowed to do a lot of things. If you can think about the costumes and what women had to wear in that period were corsets, which basically constrict you in your waist so that you can appear slim here and so that your hips appear larger. And that literally tied by a string, they would have to hold a pole and then constrict your waist. And imagine what that does to your breathing, what does to how you have to sit, how you have to walk. And women would faint and they wouldn't be able to breathe. And when they took these corsets off, it reshaped their actual, the structure of their lungs and their intestines. I mean, it's despicable to think about what we had to wear then. And again, it's almost like the psychological damage it does to having to be restricted and held in. And so imagine that. But also, Angelica, considering all of these things about what the women had to be, how we had to behave then, we weren't allowed to be involved in politics. We weren't allowed to make decisions. We weren't allowed to be in the same room, the room where it happened. We weren't allowed to do any of that. Angelica, the cool thing about her was that she influenced a lot of men involving politics, and they were socialites. She befriended a lot of men, this was her tactic, and became close with them, was their friend, and would influence them that way. So they would actually come to her and ask her for their political advice, and she would give it that way. So that was her way of influencing politics, and it's just really cool. I'm not going to say a curse word, I can't cuss, can I? But anyway, she was. There were some details about her I didn't love in learning about her. Like she was pro-slavery. I learned that Eliza was anti-slavery, so they conflicted in that way. But I think in Angelica's mind, it doesn't make it okay. But in her mind, it was about economics, which a lot of. About the history of slavery is a lot about the economical gain that it provided the enslaved or whatever. But Eliza was against it. But anyway, yeah. But that aside, but again, it's actually really cool to get to play her knowing that too. I don't know why. I just here I am playing Angelica Schuyler, somebody who was pro-slavery. And I get to tell her story. It's just interesting.
I think we have time for one more.
I don't know if this would be too much to ask, and I feel really bad. And because you sing so much of every single day, so please sing one line of it. spectrum. You to like all of us. Like you can pick it. If you don't want to, it's okay. Another question.
Sing it with all of you.
What?
Sing it with you together.
Yeah, or by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's clearly up to you. If you want to maybe like sing us a line that we can learn, then we sing it all together.
Okay, yeah. So she'll sing Angelica, I'll sing Eliza, and everyone sings, and Peggy.
Okay, great. Oh god. You pick the key. Nothing too high. Okay.
I'm not going to sing full out. Please don't.
Yeah, me neither.
You're
Warmed up yet.
amazing. Thank you for
I'm nervous.
Okay.
Angelica,
Eliza
and Peggy, the Skylar sisters.
All right, well, we really appreciate you all listening. Thank you for your time, for your attention. Thank you guys so much for coming. We really like our blown away.